So it's election time again, and I still don't have a genuine private ballot because I am both visually impaired and I use a postal vote. So I still don't have the same democratic rights as my non-disabled counterparts. I spoke to a very kind person in Leitrim County Council back in October when I had to, for some reason, resubmit the form to say that yes, I still have all the disabilities that I have had for my entire life, and yes, I still need the postal vote. And I spoke to somebody in the council at that time, and they suggested very kindly that when they received the Braille templates, which would go out to all of the polling booths for the general election, that they could send me down one of them a couple of weeks in advance. I could use it for my postal vote and then send it back to them in time for the actual election. Now, the election was only called a couple of weeks ago, and there hasn't been an awful lot of time to prepare. I have been away since before the time that my postal ballot actually arrived. So here I am a few days before the election deadline, having to fill out a ballot paper without a template. The templates apparently are sitting in Sligo Courthouse, but it's a completely different proposition to get a template from Sligo and return it to them in time for the election on Saturday than it would have been if they were housed in the county council or even in the local courthouse, because then I could have asked a PA to collect and hand deliver the templates. So that's not happened this time. So I'm back to my old system, which I'm going to show you again. Let me change the camera, which it won't let me do. Okay, there are 19 candidates for this election. So I shall attempt to show you the actual ballot paper. Okay, so here is this year's ballot paper for Leitrim, and I hope this doesn't spoil my vote. It's not been marked, as you can see. I haven't put any of my preferences down on it yet. 19 people on this, and I will just compare this with a list that I wrote out today with my PA reading out the order in which the candidates are on the ballot sheet so that I have some reference. So there's the size of my writing in comparison to the size of the text that is on the ballot paper. Okay, so basically what I've done is I have written down the names of the candidates in the order in which they appear on the ballot paper so that I can do the research, which I think now done. It's quite difficult to get proper information on a lot of the independent candidates because they don't have the same access to fancy literature, but also in this area they're not necessarily have very big web presence. And because politics is still very parochial, it means they depend a lot on word of mouth. So I think I've done the research and made the choice of the candidates that I want to vote for. Now what I have to do is, according to the order in which I have written them down, count down the little boxes, hope that I am writing a number in the correct box, and then fold it up and send it off in this envelope. This is not actual equality of access to the democratic process, and I have been here before. I'm sure I'll be here again, and frankly I do not have the spoons or the resources to bring the government back to the Supreme Court to force them once again to expand the vote to blind people. They think they've already done their job because they have provided these templates after being brought to the Supreme Court by a blind activist. But they obviously don't see any need to extend that franchise to people like myself who also use a postal vote. So, and of course we can't even bring the government to account because they haven't yet signed up to the UN CRPD optional protocol, which shouldn't be optional, which is basically the instrument by which a government could be brought to the European Court, or not, the International Court of Human Rights, and held to account for failing to abide by a treaty which they took only 10 years to sign up to. So that is the current state of disability rights in Ireland in 2020, coming up to a general election, which I hope post-election will see, some actual recognition given to the rights of everyone with disabilities to live a full and equal life.